Hi, this is Benjamin Farland doing the audio-visual presentation for paper number 2. Marie Mateau, Gender, Desire, and Supervision in the Galician Portuguese Lyric. The medieval Galician Portuguese lyric tradition opens a window into a world where social hierarchy, gender expectations, and poetic form intertwine to shape how emotion and desire were expressed. Within this body of work, the poem Maria Mateau stands out as strikingly bold. Classified as a cantiga de maldizer, a satirical song designed to mock. It departs from the conventions of courtly love poetry by giving voice to explicitly female same-sex desire. Josh Blackmore in The Poets of Sodom situates this lyric among the few Iberian texts that deliberately unsettle the heteronormative order of medieval eroticism. Examining its language, tone, and theological irony reveals that Maria Mateau is both a product of and a challenge to the medieval conceptions of gender and sexuality. Composed in the 13th or 14th century, Maria Mateau belongs to a translingual poetic culture that flourished in the northwest Iberian Peninsula. The Cantigas de Maldizer used obscenity, satire, and irony to expose hypocrisy and moral rigidity. Vulgar language, therefore, served not merely to shock, but to critique. The blend of sacred and profane imagery found in these works reflects the paradoxes of medieval society, where Christian piety coexisted with a lively vernacular imagination. As Blackmore notes, the erotic energies of Iberian lyric cannot be understood apart from their social function, to test and momentarily suspend norms of class, gender, and desire. These poems created a space for the very suspension. Even when ridicule aimed to condemn, the act of articulating deviant behavior made it visible. Maria Mateau embodies this tension in its mockery, both exposes and acknowledges what it supposedly seeks to deride. In a society where gender roles were tightly bound to its religious and social hierarchies, women's voices in lyric poetry were typically limited to lament. In the Cantigas de Amigo, a female speaker mourns her absent male lover, trapped in passivity. Maria Mateau overturns this pattern. The speaker addresses another woman with unashamed, erotic honesty. Instead of longing for absence, she celebrates shared desire. This simple inversion transforms the woman's voice from a passive sufferer into an active, desiring subject. The poem's surviving fragment, translated by Blackmore, deliberately fuses the divine with the carnal. Its invocation of God's creative power turns erotic abundance into a metaphor for natural plenitude. Rather than portraying desire as sinful, the lyric reimagines it as a part of divine creation itself. In doing so, it erases the traditional divide between sacred and profane. This language of abundance dismantles the aesthetic ideals of medieval theology. Desire here does not signify excess or failure. It becomes a form of quality. When the speaker declares that she and Maria greatly desire them, though you are a woman, she elevates similarity over hierarchy, crafting an image of mirrored female desire. As Blackmore argues, the poem's scandal lies not in obscenity, but in symmetry, the mirroring of female desire. Repetition deepens the poem's audacity. The refrain, Maria Mateau, echoes both prayer and incantation, turning blasphemy into devotion. The rhythm feels ritualistic, its cadence transforming declaration into almost sacred insistence. The speaker's tone is not ashamed or apologetic. It is confident, even celebratory. The poem's vulgar diction, its frank invocation of the body, forces confrontation, the very language of desire that polite society sought to suppress. Yet this vulgarity serves sharper purpose. By juxtapositioning sacred and obscene registers, the poet exposes theology's role in producing the very eroticism it condemns. The poet of Sodom, Blackmore argues that Maria Matthau articulates a female-female eroticism that refuses the hierarchical logic of masculine desire. Within its cultural and theological context, such symmetry was revolutionary. Still, he warns against reading it through modern ideas of lesbian identity. The poem instead highlights the instability of medieval gender boundaries. Through its balanced depiction of two women's mutual yearning, it performs what Judith Bennett calls the lesbian-like potential of pre-modern intimacy, affections and desires that existed before modern categories. Scholars have often emphasized the poem's irony, but its laughter does not erase its subversive force. Even as satire, it gives linguistic form to female desire and preserves it within the literary record. Its real power lies in that contradiction between parody and sincerity, mockery and revelation. Maria Matthau unsettles the medieval order by turning women into active bearers of desire and equating their sensuality with divine creativity. Its language of excess, repetition, and sacred irony exposes the contradictions of a culture that condemned lust while revealing an erotic expression. As Blackmore's analysis shows, the poem's daring resides in its equality of desire. It denies hierarchy, sanctifies mutuality, and envisions a world where erotic experience, however fleetingly, exists beyond moral and gendered boundaries. In that moment, the medieval lyric glimpses something profoundly and beautifully queer.